Okay, everybody, welcome to the Market Hive pre-launch presentation. Today, I will lightly and briefly talk about my history. It's always a good idea to know our history so we know where we're going in the future, and what I know and what Mike Darling knows, and how Mike Darling and I became partners, and we've been partners for almost 20 years. I have never had a closer, tighter relationship with someone as I do with Mike. I mean, we totally, truly know each other's character inside and out, and we totally trust each other inside and out. And if you ever want to judge the character of a person, this is if I'm mentoring you in just basic business, this is something I will tell you. When you meet somebody for the first time and you're not sure what their character and their integrity is, ask them for a list of the people that they have known the longest. 3 or 4 people. Just say, I'd like the name and phone number of your friends that you've known for, how long you've known them. Has it been a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever. And someone pointed out to me, that I should make a list of the people that I've known for more than 5 years, 10 years. It's in the thousands. Seriously. Like, you look at this list of people that are in here: Cy Nibbs, David Ogden, David Tampion, Dennis Roeder, Diane Meyer, James Eckberg, Jim Gray, John Lombardi, Ken Wright, Marco Ferrari, Meryl Sloan, Paul Mercer, Ray Barmore, Steve Hotchkiss, Sue Bennett. These people are like really good friends of mine. I mean, they're not just acquaintances. I know their lives, they know mine. We've been together for 10, 15, some of you 20 years. I have friends that go back to my surfing days. Lance Jones is one of them. That's back in the 70s, folks, in Santa Cruz. What was the 74? That's 84, 94, 2000. That's 40 years. So I started into the internet because I was just fortunate. I prior to the 80s, I had made a name for myself as an artist, as a scrimshander. I don't know if you know what scrimshaw is, but it's the top scrimshanders spend 20, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000 hours engraving onto a piece of ivory like mastodon or whale teeth, where the illustration might be 5 inches by 12 inches. I know I did one on a fossilized walrus tusk, which was about 3 inches by 30 inches. I spent 4 months on it. About 100 hours a week. So what's that? So that's 4 times, how many hours in a week? 4 times 4 times 100. That's about 1,600 hours. It's about right. But I sold it for like $70,000. And I was doing really well as an artist during that period of time. That was during the Carter administration. Interest rates went off the Richter scale. People stopped using it. We went into a huge recession and it put it into that business. I wound up moving to Santa Cruz. And, oh yes, scrimshaw is the most difficult kind of engraving. You make a mistake and you start over. Anyway, I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area in 83, 82, right around there. And I started a design studio to do artwork, commercial artwork, and that turned into an ad agency by 1984. And that was just when the Silicon Valley thing started. So I was doing business with Apple when they were a startup company. They had 7 people. I met Stephen Jobs and I met Steve Wozniak and the other guys in a little office in a little R&D park in Cupertino, and they called it Taco Towers because it looked like a Taco Bell. I started doing business with Adobe when they were a startup company. I met Paul, I forget his Wazinski or something, and those guys. I became a beta tester for them. I was using Adobe 1.0 on my Mac Plus. I even had the original Mac with all the signatures inside the cabinet. I mean, I was right there at the very beginning. I met all of these people and I worked with them. So I became one of the top 10 ad agents. Levi's was a client of mine. Pacific Bell was a client of mine. Apple Computer, Adobe software, Epix computer software. I don't know if you remember Epix with Jumpman. They were a game software. There was a whole lot. I mean, there's so many I forgot. I have to look at my list. I've written about it. And that went on until, oh gosh, the big earthquake. the big earthquake in the Bay Area, I experienced that. I was in the Bay Area when that earthquake hit. It seems like that earthquake was when the recession hit and business started to go bad. That's when, after that earthquake, that I decided to shut down the company, take all the good. I had 40 some employees, folks. I was getting really tired of the management of people who were just not responsible. They couldn't even show up to work on time. So that whole 10 some years is a book all to itself on how crazy it was during that time. I remember being in parties with John Huston. The guy was a gambler, and he did American Express. He was the guy they did a movie about. He could count like 10 decks of cards. Anyway, I knew that guy. His last name was Houston. I can't remember his first name. That's age. Anyway, I remember being in Las Vegas in their suite where they rented the whole top floor of like the MGM, the top, all of the suites. And I remember FedEx coming to the door with like a 20-pound box, and they opened it up, and it was like, you know, bags and bags of cocaine. And the best of the shit. I mean, it was a crazy, insane 10 years of being an ad agency back in those days. It was just crazy. And I got to know all those people. A lot of people came out of that whole era wealthy. I came out of it not wealthy because we had lawsuits and stuff in the ad agency days, and so we moved out of the Bay Area right after, shortly after that earthquake, and I took my best clients in, and I started a home-based business. I remember my father-in-law at the time flew out to see me to make sure that I hadn't lost my mind, because he was an industrialist. He owned Landgrace Harbor, and at that time they had 41,000 employees, and they had offices throughout the world. They were the number one pulp and paper handling manufacturer on the planet. He was a multi-millionaire, and he was my mentor in business. I loved the guy. I mean, unfortunately, he was the father to the woman that ran off with my horse trainer, and that's a whole other book. I'm an interesting guy. I'm sorry I'm rambling, but you need to know my history. So I have this soul, this really deep soul spirit in me that wants to help people. That's my calling, is to reach out to the fallen, the unemployable, the little guy, the little gal, the people who really are entrepreneurial, but they need help in order to lift themselves up to do what they need to do, right? I know this, that entrepreneurs come into the world looking for problems to solve. Isn't that like almost isn't that an honorable thing to have a life where your life is about finding problems to solve them? Isn't that what we should all be? We should all be lifting each other up, and we all should be focused on looking for something that needs a solution instead of looking for something to complain about and asking the government to come help me. Anyway, that's who I am, and I grew up this way. So as we moved out of the Bay Area, and I moved up to a small town in Washington, and I started kind of like a print brokering company, and I ran across a company called PowerNet, which was offering internet access. And during my whole time in the 80s in the Bay Area, I knew about this internet. I had been doing FTP, file transfer protocol, to other universities like in Taiwan to send files to get printing done, because I used the printers in Taiwan to get printing done for large printing jobs. I knew what news groups were. I was involved in the news groups because I heard about them from my friends at Stanford, because Stanford was one of my clients. So I was up to my neck in this stuff. I knew what virtual reality was, because Amdahl, which was one of the founders and heavy movers in that industry back in the 80s, was a client of mine. I actually experienced putting the head thing on in the hands and sitting there and manipulating stuff in virtual reality back in the 80s. So I saw the vision and stuff that was coming, and I got really excited about how this was going to really level the playing field for the little guy. Usenet. Yes, I was using Usenet. I was one of the first guys on AOL. When I went to a Comdex show in San Francisco, and it's when AOL announced themselves, and I got their little disc. Because everybody's like, "Oh my God, go over there to the AOL booth. They're giving away floppy disks, the little mini ones." Well, back then those were like instruments of value they were expensive. I mean, giving away a disc, it was like worth $1.20. So we went there and hoarded them all up so we could use them on our computers back when we had floppy disks. And so I went home, got on, signed up into AOL, and I got the username Tom, Tom. That's how new I was into AOL. So I moved to Washington, and I became remote. When I was in the Bay Area and I needed computers and stuff, I just went down to, I mean, there was just warehouses selling stuff. It was when Fry's Electronics was Fry's grocery store. And Randy, I knew Randy. Randy inherited some of the grocery stores from his father, and he turned them into these electronics stores. His father, and he got fought over this. I was there when all that stuff happened. Anyway, I moved to Washington, and I had to like become remote. So I was on AOL, and I was using that the best I can. And here's a great story. I hope you don't mind me telling you the story. Because of my relationship with Adobe, and I was a beta tester with Adobe, I was able to buy Adobe's used packages for like $10 a box. That's what they did. When the box came back from the store opened, they'd reseal it and they would sell it to us, the betas, as many as we wanted. It was an inside deal. I knew them. So I would buy 100, 500, 1,000 of them, and I'd put them up on the classifieds in AOL and sell them for $200, $300 a box because they were $700 to buy at the store, right? I actually had semis coming to my house in Washington filled with these boxes, and I would take them off and I would repackage them and send them out, and I was selling them COD. I was making like $150,000, $200,000 a month there for a couple of months doing that. I'm an entrepreneur. And this was my first indication that this internet thing was massive. I even built a little program on my Macintosh. I had Macs back then. I built a little mini program on there that would log into AOL, go to the classifieds, post the ad, and log out and do it every 15 minutes so my ad stayed at the top. Never in my wildest dreams did I even think about taking something like that and making a standalone website like eBay did. I'd be the eBay guy. Anyway, that was when I really started to understand the power of the internet, and that's when I got involved with PowerNet, and I sold internet access. I did mass advertising. I brought in hundreds of thousands of people. My first month's check with PowerNet, it was an MLM, was $60,000. I just naturally know how to do this stuff because of my advertising, marketing mind, and my left brain, because I'm an artist, and because of my calling to help the fallen and the downtrodden and the broken and the little guy and gal. All this stuff sort of started making sense to me when I created back in 94, 95, 93, around there, the first self-replicating system using a database on a server, creating autoresponder email and all that stuff. That was the beginnings of what became known as Veritech. That's how it all came about. So I have this innateness about me in producing all of this stuff. So, along comes the social network. The first one I was aware of was MySpace. My daughter introduced it to me, and there was hardly anybody in it. And then I got some spam email forwarded to me from one of my friends at Stanford saying, hey, check this out. It was this thing called Facebook, and it was only available for students, so I pretended I was a student. I got involved with that along at the very beginning, and so I've sort of been right in there, but I've never been the big shot. I've always been the guy behind the curtain type of a thing. So as Veritech started to play out after 20 years, these things do play out. It had legacies of old technology in it. It was just becoming harder and harder for us to lift Veritech up and change its legacy. So Mike and I 2 years ago decided it was time to cut Veritech loose and let her float off into the ocean and sink. We didn't really feel driven to just shut it off because there was still a lot of people that depended upon it. So, to be honest with you, I kept Veritech alive for over 2 years with money coming out of my pocket. I think I dropped probably about $200,000 in money on it in the last 3 years. It lives. It still lives to this day, but it's now it's now a new tip system. We actually negotiated a transfer of it to another company, but it still lives. It now lives as WaveWriters.net, and I no longer have to fork out the money, but the people that still have systems in there, and it still works pretty much the way it did. Point is, 2 years ago, Mike and I knew something new was on the horizon. We just didn't know what it was. And I spent 3 or 4 days praying and meditating over it, and all of a sudden it came to me, and I called Mike up, and I said, Mike, I got it. You know how the last 20 years we've been climbing mountains in the Himalayas. We climb a mountain like maybe this is it. We see a valley, another mountain. So for 20 years, Mike and I kind of kid around saying that that's all we do is we climb mountains. We are adventurers. We are entrepreneurs. We are, Lewis and Clark. So when I came to Mike and I said, Mike, we don't know what we're going to call this thing. We didn't have a name until a year into developing it. But I said, here's what I'm called to do. We are to start from scratch and take all this experience that we have, knowing the psychology of the people that we do this for, knowing how these systems work, knowing how people work with them, all this information, all this inputs that we have, and we are to start over from scratch. And I mean scratch. You're going to open up a text file and you're going to start writing the code from scratch. We want this system to be multilingual. We want it to be able to turn it into any language quickly and easily. By this point, Mike Darling had become a master programmer. And I have become very well honed and tuned to marketing and seeing what needs to be done. So the partnership between Mike and I is kind of like Stephen Jobs and Stephen Wozniak of Apple. It's very similar. So we moved forward with this concept. I presented this concept to a couple hundred of people who are my close friends that I've gotten to know over the many decades and years of running Veritech, etc. And in about a week to 2 weeks, we raised $500,000 to build what we have today called Market Hive. We're about a week away from launching it. So what is Market Hive? Well, the reason we came up with the name Market Hive is because it is a combination of inbound marketing tools and a social network. Hive. Market, Hive. Combined. Nobody's ever done this. The tools, we are the bomb on the tools. We're the architects. We're the guys that created all this stuff from the very get-go. AWeber, GetResponse, and those guys, they knocked off Veramail. Veramail was 2 years running, doing exactly what AWeber does today. When I was getting ready to announce and release Veramail to the prepaid legal people in Oklahoma, I think in 1997, 98, was when the last minute I was asked not to get up and address as a keynote speaker, and Tom, the guy that owns AWeber, got up there and told them what he was going to build. He had become aware of what we were doing. I guess he knew Stone Cipher and told him he could do this too, and give him 6 months and he'd do it. And that was the launching of AWeber. That's the way it goes. I'm not complaining. We have a different focus. Mike and I have always been focused on an integrated set of marketing systems that all work together. So, the launching of Market Hive. Market Hive is the advanced techie inbound marketing systems. And I'll take you in and show you this stuff here in a minute. But when you take all of those tools and then you combine the social network, we discovered that what we're creating here is a social neural network. And that's what we have, is a social neural network. And what is that? Well, let me take you over to our back office and give you a peek of what is over there. Okay, so the tools that you would have in an inbound marketing system, some of those tools are rotators. You know what a rotator is. Broadcaster. You know what a broadcaster is. It's a way for you to publish and broadcast out to your Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus, social, Facebook, etc. That's broadcasting, right? We all know what that is. Blogging. You all know what blogging is. Unlike Facebook's Notes, Market Hive is a blog platform. And the blog platform is pretty powerful. It gives you the ability to blog out to all kinds of different types of systems. To make a long story short, our blog system allows you to, all the blogs that you create are shown in this list here of all blogs, your friends' blogs, the blogs that you follow. But going beyond that, you have a thing called blog sharing. You see that, right? And you have a thing called RSS Cocktail. You see that, right? Blog sharing, RSS Cocktail, RSS parser code. Well, I'm going to show you where that Hang on a second. I'll try to do this without messing up our recording. Okay. These are the output of these systems. This here is what's called the parser. This is all being published out there from two people, me and Mike Darling. So this is Mike's and my postings in the parser code. And a parser code can be used in a website. You just put the code in there and you build around it with your PHP or HTML. That allows you to pull content out of your groups and put them into websites that you build or capture pages or whatever. We have another thing that's called, that's WordPress. We have a plugin into our WordPress. So all of our content that's coming off of our cocktails from the Market Hive creates millions, literally millions of different types of content feeds using the cocktails to go into the WordPress blogs, the plugins that we've created. And our plugin it's not like reading our RSS feed. What it does is it goes to that RSS feed and pulls all that information off and makes it look like it's an actual post into your WordPress blog. Then we have another thing called the BlogPress. This BlogPress is one of the templates that we have in the back office of Market Hive. Ultimately, what happens here is you'll be able to create all kinds of different capture pages, forums. We even have a forum code that looks like the PHPBB forum. It works just like the forum, but it's all controlled from your back office. Okay, and here's a capture page. This all comes from and is controlled by just a simple code that the back office in Market Hive gives you. You upload it into your index file, and you completely control it. Okay? You see how all that works? So we go back to the control panel, and that's all being done with, you make an RSS cocktail. That RSS cocktail, you select the different feeds you want, you combine them all. So the bottom line is with the blogger platform, when you create a blog platform in with your groups, and you've got your broadcasting within your groups, and here's what the groups looks like, and you have what's called management within your groups, and you have a thing called a co-op cube, or what we call now campaigns within your groups, and you have the PDF duplicator, and your groups also have their own forums. What happens with a group in Facebook? Let's see, we'll go to a group that's been around for a while. Microclosions. Let's see how this group looks. A group has the ability for the owner of the group to broadcast out to the group's social networks. Okay, do you understand that? Do you understand how powerful that is? I create a group. I'm a creative marketing guy. You come into the group, you say, yeah, I trust you to send, for the benefit of the group, I trust you to produce for my Facebook, for my Twitter, the stuff that we all need to produce the business that we need. Yeah, and we addressed that getting spammy thing, David, with this system, because if you notice, if you have a group member, and let's say you create a group of 100 people and they're all allowed to post to each other's, yeah, it gets spammy. But as a group, just the owner of the group is allowed to produce the product and send it off on behalf of the group. You get rid of the spammy things. Because if I sign up into a group and I see that the owner of that group is taking advantage of it and publishing stuff that I don't agree with because it's getting spammy, what do? I quit the group, right? All right, so that's been addressed by doing this. The blog sharing. So you got all these people in the group and they're all blogging to your common blog that's associated to the group, and you're pulling from that group different people's posts, and you're constructing all of these unique RSS feeds, these RSS cocktails. And so you got, let's say you have 100 people in the group, and on the average, those 100 people have 4 domains. So 2 or 3 of those domains per person is 400 or 500 domains, all producing content. But each one of those blogs' content is completely different from all the other blogs, and they're all hosted at different places, so they all have different IP addresses, they're different code, they are completely different, so they completely and totally abide by Panda and Penguin. Okay, are you listening carefully? You want something like that you don't come to Market Hive and you go to a third party that does SEO and offers you 200 or 300 WordPress blogs that they manage for you, putting the content on there so that you abide by that, so that you can produce the necessary content to get your website to the top of the search engines. Do you know how much those services cost? Does anybody here want to guess what a service like that costs for just 5 blogs on 5 domains that you control, that they operate? Do you know what the starting price is? Does anybody want to guess? I know what it is. I've done the research. Starting price is about $500. It goes all the way up to $6,000 to $10,000 a month if you want 100 to 200 blogs. Our system allows you to produce exactly the same thing in a group. Okay? The Rotator. The owner of the group controls the Rotator and uses the Rotator to benefit everybody in the group. So you have a address that the Rotator is hooked to, and the Rotator goes to your capture pages, or they can go to your profile pages, or they can go to your MLM pages, or they can go to your blogs, or whatever you want them to go to. The owner of the group maintains that and rotates all the business that the broadcasting's doing and the blogging's doing. The blogging is pushing to get that capture page to the top that rotates to the group. So am I making sense? Are you gathering this? So you have the leader of the group is managing all of this stuff, and the people that are in the group are all working for the common goal, right? You also have the technology of a PDF duplicator where we can put this into the groups. We're going to have it in the companies. I'm going to show you that in a second. And then everybody's connected into a forum. Each person, each group, and each company, because I'm going to show you the company section of this too. The companies is kind of like a version of groups. Also has their own specific part of the overall forum that our system also incorporates. It has a forum. You know, a forum similar to the Wave, to Warriors Forum. We have a full-blown forum. And you can be in this forum where everybody can see it, or you can be in this forum private, and that determines on what you want to do in your group. All right? You with me so far? All right, what have I just explained to you? I just explained something to you. We are taking social networking to a new level, and it's called what? Okay, come on. Somebody post it here. That's right. A social neural network. I'm hypnotizing you. Social neural network. It's the new buzzword. I mean, seriously? They are just barely starting to talk about it at the universities like MIT. That they are expecting, or they're starting to say, you know what? There's another new level about to occur on the internet in the social network arena, and that is the neural type social networks. Well, what I just explained to you here is the social neural network. So let's summarize what is a social neural network. It's when you produce a group of people working with a common agenda, all bringing to the table all of their assets. How many people here have a Facebook account? I'm assuming you all do. A Twitter account, probably most of you. A LinkedIn account, probably most of you. A Gmail, Google account, probably all of you or most of you, etc. So when I bring a group together under the control of a captain, so that we get rid of the spamming issues, we control that, and we're broadcasting as a group. We are blog sharing as a group. We have the Rotator for the benefit of the group. We also have a section, and it isn't in here right now, but it's in Veritech. So those of you who are familiar with Veritech and the market manager that was over there, there's a thing called management where you can see everybody in your group what they're doing. Well, because the whole entire system does everything, we can see what everybody's doing, right? So we have a management section in there, so the captain or the owner of the group can look to see what are all the members doing, and it will tell him, well, this member here is logging in every day and is writing to the blog, is doing, is bringing in new people into their social network, is adding some more people into the group, is commenting and doing a lot of stuff on the news feed, and is very active, is paying for advertising, doing all kinds of things. And it will rate them from blue being at the top and red being at the bottom. So it goes like blue, green, yellow, orange, red. And the barcode gets smaller or something like that. I mean, that's what we did in the other one. And then you mouse over to click on it, opens up a window and gives you a more detailed report. So what does that do? How does that apply to a social neural network? Well, what is a neural network, right? Well, it's the nerves and synapses within an organism where you have a brain or a central nervous system, but all of the nerves throughout the system are also producing stimuli and creating a complete total organism that is working in conjunction with each other and the leader. And that is what we are delivering here, is the social neural network. We're taking it to the next step. We didn't even realize we had done this until we had actually built this, when it dawned on me a couple of months ago as I was writing a prospectus to go out and find a venture capitalist to fund this thing. And that's our perfect segue into our next part of this meeting. So before I segue over there, I just want you to see the companies. The companies are going to have almost the same functions as groups. Now imagine, just imagine, I'm going to go to, let's say, personal care. Where is it? There it is. Let's see what this lists. Okay, Amway. Let's use Amway. So you go and click on the Amway, and you are a member of Market Hive, and you decide to join Amway. Are you a distributor? So you click here, and you become a distributor in Amway. When you do that, and Amway has decided to sponsor their portal within Market Hive, then what happens for Amway is the marketing people of Amway are producing the advertising on your behalf. So let's say you have a group of 1,000 people or 50,000 people in the Amway group. So Amway is producing the advertising to promote to your social networks, just like in the group. But here, when they punch it, it goes out to everybody in the group, and so their advertising, their promotion of Amway landing on your Facebook account promotes the Amway business on behalf of you in your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, etc. They can create a co-op cube. What is a co-op cube anyway? It's like campaigns. What a co-op cube does is it allows the captain or the company to create a co-op funding for an advertising program. It's all built around our own merchant account. So people can click a button and say, yeah, I want to buy one share, $100, or 10 shares, or 1,000 shares, or whatever. It's $100 a share. So you have 1,000 people in your Amway business, and everybody wants one share, so that's $100,000. Well, whatever Amway's policy is, that they'll match that with funds or not, that's up to them. But the thing is, they're now using $100,000 to run an advertising campaign from the head, the Amway company, from the head, or the group from the head. And so they create an ad, they go put it on YouTube, and they run the ad, and they point it to the rotator, right? They set the rotator up to fund. I mean, if I bought 5 shares, and I get five positions in that rotator, etc. It's all automated in here, so that they can create a dynamic advertising or product selling program and promote it either email, Facebook, YouTube, Google, radio if they want to, all pointing to the rotator that they control. Are you with me so far? You're getting this, right? In the company, when they when they sponsor with us, we can also build their PDF duplicator so we can take all their marketing materials, their banners for conferences, their mailers, their postcards, their business cards, convert them all into the custom PDF technology that we have, put it in here. So any member that's in this group with Amway clicks on the PDF and says, yeah, I want business cards. They choose from 8 designs. They choose this one design. They push the button. The card's all filled out with their information, customized for them as a PDF that they can go uplift to like overnight prints and get their business card, postcards, flyers, brochures. And ultimately what happens is the company gets to control the message, control the marketing, and give it all instantaneously to their organization through the Market Hive system. There's power in that. We just have to get our first couple of companies to come in to do this. And the company also has a forum in the grand forum of schemes in our forum that everybody's on. Are you now understanding the ultimate power of a social neural network and why we are going to lead the way in this revolution? I'm working on a campaign here so that I can reward you for bringing in companies. So there's got to be some type of setup fee for the company, not some outrageous $10 million fee, but not, $500. There's got to be something like, I don't know. Yeah, I have to feel my way through negotiating with a couple companies that I have to that I personally have connections with to see what they think. But I think it'll probably be somewhere around $10,000. There has to be a certain amount of money because we have to customize their PDF tools to fit into the whole thing, and I think part of that is very powerful to have that PDF duplicator in there. The point here is, let's say I charge $10,000 for Amway for us to customize their portal. When it's customized, we do something along the lines of, we take a certain amount of that and we give them $100 credit for running advertising so they can do a banner at least once a month to promote Amway, to go to their group, or something along those lines. But we take half of that $10,000 and give it to you, so that you are rewarded for bringing business to us. It's not an MLM, it's a finder's fee. So those of you who have connections, all I want to do is I just want to financially make you whole for the work involved in bringing a company into Market Hive. I'm not completely done on that campaign yet, but now let's talk about the campaign that I did come up with that is to all of your advantages. And that is the profile page. All of our systems have a profile page, just like Facebook does. Our system produces its revenue through advertising, just like Facebook does. Our Alpha Founder program is designed for the purpose of advertising benefits for you. So the primary thing of the Alpha Founder program is the Alpha service. Like banners in our system, which is where we generate our revenue, and it's advertising, a profile page that is open to recruit people into your system is, without a doubt, and by the very definition of it, another version of advertising. So what we do with the Alpha program is we turn your profile page into a capture page. So what that means is, when you are an Alpha subscriber, which is a month-to-month service, and it's $100 a month, we give you the equivalent of an additional $100 to run a banner ad. To run a banner ad in our system is $100 a day. To run a banner ad right at the top. That's the only place there's real advertising. We do have other things like boosting and pushing and little things down here, just like Facebook does. So we say the profile page also becomes your, what we call, capture page as a Alpha member. And so this turns into a capture page. It gets a video on there on what the entire Market Hive is about, and then there's links for people to click on to join up. When they join up into Market Hive through your profile page as an Alpha, they are automatically added into your social network. They are automatically become a part of your friends group, right? With me so far? And then you can also choose for them to go right into one of your groups. So you can set up one of your groups for them to come right into, like, you know, the new SEO group. I could have everybody lining up going into there. Okay, you with me so far? So as my profile page as an alpha becomes a capture page, I then automatically start building a huge sphere of influence. Now, those are not just normal leads. I call these cognitive leads. We used to call them premium leads in the Veritex system because we produced, I'm probably the world's best lead generator developer on the planet, because I don't just produce leads where you offer some service, some person comes and signs up for it, you get their name and their email, and you try to email them, they ignore you, call them up, they don't answer the phone. And everybody else is getting them too. They're shared. It doesn't work as well. You all understand what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm talking about, those of you who've known me for many, many years. This cognitive lead cognition, which is another new term that we're coming out with, and we're going to do a whole video on that. You promote a system that has every inbound marketing tool on it. It's actually superior to Aweber. It does everything Aweber does and more. It creates, like I told you, it creates capture pages, right? But these capture pages don't require you fill out a form. You can sign up into this capture page just by clicking one of the buttons and authorize MarketHive to use your account, authorize the app, and boom, I'm now getting, I don't want this to play. Hold on a second. Turn it off. So I've signed up with just a simple click of a button. You understand how powerful that is, right? So that kind of lead that's just coming in as a name and a phone number and maybe an email address. How about when you bring in a lead into MarketHive and they become part of your social network, so you're communicating with them. You've offered them every possible tool that they could ever use on the internet, all integrated. The blogging platform, the friends group, the groups, the social neural networks, the video system, the lead capture, the works. Conference room capabilities, calendaring, everything you can imagine under the sun, all integrated into one giant inbound marketing tool platform, which is a platform that other companies sell for up to $3,000 to $5,000 a month. When you offer that for free, do you think that you'll get a greater response of people signing up when it's as simple as pushing a Facebook icon and boom, pulls everything out of Facebook, puts them in, automatically puts them into your social network and goes into the group that you want, and you can also set them up to receive a series of your autoresponders. This is a completely new level of lead generation that's never been done. Imagine if you could do this with Facebook. One of the drawbacks of Facebook, right, is that you tell people about Facebook, you invite them, they sign up, but they're still not your friend. They're not going to get any autoresponders from you. You have to ask them to be friends, they got to approve, and then you become friends. Then you promote to them a group, and they might sign up into that group or not. And what do you do in a group in Facebook? You all have a common gripe or a common agenda where you post about it, and that's it. All we're doing is sharing our perspective and our information with each other in the group based on the parameters of the theme of that group. That's it. In this system, somebody comes to your profile page as an alpha, they sign up, they're automatically your social network friend, and they're automatically placed into a group of your specifications, and you have all those communication capabilities to communicate with those people in your group, in your social network, and you're sending them off autoresponders. Any questions on how powerful that is? Now let's have a scenario. Let's say I know a guy, a service out there that I've used before. The guy has an organization or a database of 25 million people that you can pay him $100 to email off to that group of people whenever you want to. There are services out there that do that. I'm sure all of you are aware of that, right? So I'm promoting energy drink binary, and with all the hype that goes with it, get in now while I'm building this leg, I'm going to build this leg for all that stuff. And I go to that guy, and out of that 25 million, I bring in 400 people into my business, and I paid $100 for it. I'm feeling pretty good about that, wouldn't you? So 400 divided by 2,500 equals 1.6%, but that's 2,500, so add 4 zeros to that, so that's 0.000016. Statistically, it's a zero. Now, I promote Market Hive to that group of people, pay $100, that they could get the state-of-the-art social neural network system, all the inbound marketing tools that they need. It's totally free. Go and I point to my profile page, and I'm alpha. And so out of that 25 million people, I get, well, what percentage do you think you would get out of 25 million people who are all entrepreneurial networker MLMers that heard about this in an email? What percentage do you think you would get? 1%? 5%? If everybody was getting that email and reading it, 20%? What do you think? 20%? 30%? Let's be conservative here. Let's just say 10%. So 25 million times 10%. That would be 2,500,000 people you would immediately put into your social network and your groups in Market Hive practically overnight for $100. That's 10%. That's how powerful the Market Hive lead generation system will be with that alpha program. So the alpha program is designed to cost $100 a month. Okay? Now, I decided that instead of going to one or two investors and raising, a couple $1 million, that I would just turn the alpha program into the Alpha Founder program. And here's the Alpha Founder program for you. You commit to pay for 12 months the $100 for the Alpha program. So for 12 months you have the Alpha program every month. You will get it for the rest of your life. You will always have an Alpha profile to promote, to bring people into your social network. When you sign up into the Alpha program, the Alpha Founder program, we also give you $3,000 worth of advertising so that you're able to run your banner ad every day for a full month instead of once a month for $100. And we give you an additional $100 a month in advertising. What we charge for our banner, $100 a month, so you can run that banner once a month based on what you're paying into Alpha. So basically, you buy a banner ad once a month for 12 months, and you get $4,600 worth of advertising for that year, and then you get the Alpha program for the rest of your life for free. That's a pretty good deal, right? You pay for 12 months, and that's it. For the rest of your life, you get the Alpha profile page for free, and you get $100 a month for advertising for free for the rest of your life. That's a good deal, right? But I make it even better than that. When you do that, I make you a limited partner, and I'm only allowing 1,000 people to do this. We're already well on our way. I mean, we're not near 1,000 yet, but we've already at about 150, 200. And we share with you the revenue of Market Hive. Now, here's how the numbers work. We have conservative estimates that within the second year we'll be doing $100 million a year. I mean, we're not Facebook yet. Facebook does like $15-20 billion a month in advertising. So $100 million a year is really being conservatively realistic, right? You are going to get a share of 20% of the revenue of Market Hive, and a share of that $100 million is $20,000 a year. Now, you're going to get so much in return for your $1,200, because I want to reward you to help me put Market Hive on the map. And then here's the coup de grace, the cream at the top of the milk, the frosting on the cake. All the money that comes into Market Hive through the Alpha Founder program, well, there'll be a percentage that covers the overhead, but 90% of it's going to go back into advertising. When it goes back into the advertising, and I'm promoting this on Facebook with Facebook ads, and YouTube with YouTube videos, and Google and their search engines, and on banners and all of the MLM and entrepreneurial forums out there like Warrior Forum and Build a Better Networker, etc. All that business that comes back in goes into a rotator, because I'm the admiral, I'm the head captain here, goes into a rotator, and all that business is shared amongst all of the Alpha founders. Okay? So how can you go wrong? Is this a better offer to you than anything out there that's MLME? This is a revenue sharing program for you, for my limited partners for the rest of your life. For a small contribution of $1,200, you get, over a period of 10 years, you get like $28,000 of actual cost value just in the advertising that we give back to you. In the first year, we give you back $4,600 on your $1,200. And then on top of all of that, we give you a share of the revenue to make you whole on the money that you spent within a couple of years. And then that's for the rest of your life. How can you say no to this? $100 a month? How many people here have spent over $1,000 in MLM and never received anything back in return? How many people here spend $100 a month on auto ship in a binary, afraid that if you stop spending it, you'll lose all that volume? How many people here spend $100 on broadcasting and autoresponder services? How many people here are fed up with MLM and just can't stand it anymore because they are always lied to, cheated, misinformed, and deceived by the supermajority of MLM companies? Do I get a big hallelujah? An amen? Am I right? I'll tell you what, I am one of the most careful. I do the due diligence. I'm extremely cynical when it comes to network marketing companies. I fly out to them. I sit down with the principals of the company. I come back and forth on several trips. I make them sign agreements. I videotape everything they're promising me they're going to do. And the moment I sign up, it all changes and they don't do it. There is no exceptions. But I'm always looking for a way to help the little guy to achieve some type of financial autonomy. This is one of those things. This is one of those ways of doing it. Now this is only for 1,000, but let's say out of that 1,000, I make you all millionaires. What's a millionaire? How much interest does $1 million to the bank make you? $50,000 a month or a year, right? Isn't it something like that? With today's interest rates, that's probably being generous. So what if we get this to the point where it's making you $50,000 to $100,000 a year? You're a millionaire. And if you take that money and invest it wisely, all right? And there's one more important point here I don't want to miss. God, it just came to me and it just went out of my head. I'm the absent-minded professor. We built the Market Hive system so that all of everything you see in it that has the word, all of the content, all of the titles, everything in here runs off of one XML file. So we take that XML file and we send it off to a firm that converts it to other languages, and we convert it to Chinese. The entire system becomes Chinese. We haven't done it yet, but we will. Our first one's going to be for Spanish, just because we want to open up South America, and that's just going to be our first one because we have a large Spanish-speaking population that we can move this into. Our goal within the next couple of years is to be in 25 languages. But so you understand, it's really easy for us to do it. We just take that one file, send it off, it gets converted, bring it back, and boom, it's in the new language. Okay, those of you who are coming into the alpha program right now who are not, oh, that's it. That was that's the cream on the crop. There's even a bit more of a cream on the crop. Here it is. With the alpha founder program, our goal is to reach 1,000. And this is going to answer some of your questions. Our goal is to reach 1,000. When that 1,000 is reached, then the alpha founder program ends because we have 1,000, give or take, plus or minus, 5%. Alpha founders in the system. At that point, we're going to look at who brought in the most people. We're going to reward those of you who brought in the most people with the original agreement that we made 2 years ago, what we call the Shell Founders. Shell Holdings LLC is the mother company of Market Hive. That agreement was $5,000 2 years ago. We allowed people to pay, on a monthly basis on a pledge. We had 20 people fall off the bridge. So we don't have 100 Shell Founders. We have 80 Shell Founders. That means we have 20 Shell Founder positions, contracts, agreements available. The way they are valued now, because Market Hive, for all intents and purposes, the work's done. It's never going to be done, but you know what I mean. We're getting ready to launch it. The value of those Market Hive, those Shell holding agreements, is $20,000 now. If you were to come knock on my door and you wanted to buy one, I would sell it to you for 20 grand. That's it. I wouldn't sell it for less because I see it as worth far more than that. Here's why. We're doing 100 million and you're an alpha founder and you're making 20,000 on your $1,200 contribution. If you are a Shell founder, you're making 200,000 on your $5,000 contribution per year. So 20,000, 200,000. Because the Shell founder gets 20% of the revenue with just 100 founders. We limited it to that. It raised us $500,000, which was just the perfect amount of money to do what we did. So, those of you, the top 20 people who have, the top 20 people who have the most referrals, it could be 2 people. I mean, you could have as little as 2 people, all the way up to hundreds of people. It's the top 20 will receive a Shell Founders Agreement gratis, no cost. We will transfer one to you. The caveat to this is, if the top 5 people each bring in 200, when you hit 100 people that you have referred, you automatically get a Shell Founders Agreement. You bring in 2, you get 2. You bring in 300, you get 3. You bring in 400, you get 4. So one person could bring in all of them by bringing in 1,000 people. I doubt that's going to happen. I just want this to be equitable. So, in that equity, all the top people will receive Shell Founder Agreements. You can ask all my friends who have known me for many, many years. I am beyond generous. I like giving it all away. I give most of my money away. I help orphanages, I help missions, I help people who need a hand up, I help struggling people. I've even had people around Christmas time call me up crying because they couldn't make the rent and I paid their rent for them. I'm a schmuck. I'm a very smart one. I'm a smart schmuck. Okay, the people that you bring in accredited to me, you'll notice that on your application or on your agreement that I sent you, that you filled out and sent back to me, there's a place in there that says sponsor. You change that sponsor to your name so when other people get it, they send it to me. This weekend, we're opening up the inside. Those of you who are Shell Founders, we call them BODs because we used to call them Board of Directors. Those of you who are BODs, they're Shell Founders, already, and you're already in the back office of Market Hive. This weekend, I've instructed Mike to turn on the back office for people who have yet to become Shell, or yet to become Alpha Founders. We'll be able to do it in the back office. In 2 weeks, we open the front of our system so that those of you who are Alpha Founders already will have the system opened up for you. Those of you who are not BOD founders, we're putting your applications into a database right now to send to Mike so that he can automatically get you set up to go. So the moment we open up your accounts in the Market Hive, the way that Market Hive works is it connects to your social network. So we're going to have to, deal with it in the next week and a half to make sure that you're ready to go when we open up the doors. So don't worry about it. Does that answer your question, Meryl? And I'm on Skype, and I have a phone number, and I have email, and I'm in front of my computer all the time. So if you have any serious questions or serious concerns, you can contact me. And it will be that way all the time. And with that in mind, I also want you to know that a portion of these proceeds, and our goal is to bring in $100,000 a month, is to also build a world-class live 24/7 support mechanism to go with Market Hive. I want Market Hive to be known for having the best customer service on the planet. If you want to get an idea, go to Overnight Prints and do business with them, and you'll see that I'm going to model the way that they do business with Market Hive. This is going to be big. I have every intentions of making this a Fortune 100 company, a global company, in the same neighborhood and running with the big dogs, like the top 10 internet companies: Google, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, all of those. My goal is to make Market Hive running right up there neck and neck with them. My goal right now is to create as many videos as I can so that we all have the tools. I want some really kicker videos to go into the profile page for the alpha founders and just the profile page in general. I have invested heavily in a couple of HP Z800s. I need to go spend some time to get those done because the computer I have right now only has 64 gigs of RAM. It only has 1 terabyte of hard drive. My new Z800 has like massive memory. I can't remember the number. It's beyond anything you can imagine. And it has 100 terabytes. It has 10 terabyte solid state hard drives in a disk array. The display cards are like 500 gigabytes of RAM built into them. They have I forget what they call it. The display rate on it is like 1/1000th of a second. In other words, you could be working on a 10 terabyte animation, and when you turn that animation or turn it on to watch it, there's no delay rate. It's instantaneous. And so, as I get going with that, I will be producing Hollywood quality videos and animations to promote Market Hive for the foreseeable future. It's going to be my thing. I'm going to be the market manager and director of marketing. I am going to be processing and doing the advertising into Google and YouTube and all of these different places that I know that works to drive the business for your benefit. Those of you who are guests here and you need an application, it's best for you to go get it from the guy who invited you here so that they can make sure that they get the credit for sponsoring you. If not, you can contact me and I'll send one to you. And I will just rotate the ones that I bring in to the people I know who are working. So whoever comes to me, I'm going to give you my credit to those of you who I know who are working, like Paul Mercer. I want all of you to achieve financial independence. The world needs you. We need entrepreneurs now more than we ever did. The world is in trouble. Countries are in trouble. Capitalism, or I should say corporatism, and the job mentality doesn't work. 100 years ago, our country and the world in general ran on what's called entrepreneurialism. Today, it runs on what's called corporatism. Our schools today produce employees. You see how well that's not working. If we were producing entrepreneurs, whether it was China or India or the United States or Brazil or whatever country, Russia, our universities, our grade schools, our high schools, our universities were really focused on producing entrepreneurs coming out those doors it would solve so many problems. First of all, you would have hordes of millions of people who are seeking problems to find solutions for them instead of seeking jobs. You would have millions of people creating businesses instead of taking up a chair in a company. And every business that each entrepreneur produces, on the average, creates 2 employees. So if you graduated 800 people out of 1,000 as entrepreneurs coming out of a college, and each of those 800 on the average created 2 job openings, that would be 1,600 job requirements, and it would mean that there was 200 people that came out looking for jobs, and there were 1,600 jobs. What do you think? What effect do you think that would have on wages? Do you think that we'd have to have a minimum wage from the government? No, it would eliminate so much in the government. You wouldn't need government like we have today. You would have wages like, up to upwards of, 70, 80, 100, $150 an hour, because you couldn't get people for less than that unless they were people that didn't go to school. That's my point. This is our, it would eliminate social welfare. This is our primary focus. We are entering into the age of the entrepreneur, and Market Hive is here to serve this age. Thank you for coming. The meeting now is officially coming to an end.